I'm hoping our sound is working. Oh dear, I'm not hearing Jim, and the display looks wrong. Today is just my day. Let me go and sort this all out. In the meantime, let me see if I can turn Jim's mic on. Oh, your mic is on. Are you muted on your end, Mr. Davis?
I might have been, but can you hear me now? Are we good?
Yes, I can.
Excellent. Yes, there's many ways to mute yourself, and there you go.
There we go. Now we're on even our own little Warhammer spread. We've got the mics all on. That Friday feeling. It's nearly the end of the week. Don't forget, we are the last show on Encounter Roleplay today, but still, I hope you've got snacks, I hope you've got drinks. Welcome to Roll Up. We are the character creation show every Friday here on Encounter Roleplay. We are focusing on Cubicle 7's Warhammer 4E today, and welcome back to the wonderful Jim Davis, who is my Dungeon Master for Warhammer here on the channel. And I'm very excited to get rolling. So today, Jim, we're making dreams come true. We're going to be using Fantasy Grounds as our virtual tabletop of choice to roll up our random stats and various other elements of character creation.
Yes.
As previously mentioned, we've got Tabletop Loot sponsoring us to give away dice. Check them out for lots of other goodies. And finally, Wayland Games. Should you need minis? I forget what else they've got. They've got so much stuff. Go check them out for less than 20% of the regular retail price. Head over there. But we're diving into chaos, which is a very appropriate theme for today and the rest of my week. We're making your dream come true. We are making you a Warhammer character.
A Warhammer character.
And what is our premise for this one?
I'm hoping that if this were a character who was in a full campaign, I would hope that they slowly descend into some sort of chaos worship, preferably one of my two favorites, Slaanesh or Tzeentch, delving into dark magics and attempting to evade the long arm of the witch hunters, and perhaps their own party as well for as long as they can. But I'd like to, I like the idea of it happening organically. So we'll see just sort of like who we roll up and how I might like direct them over the course of a campaign. But yeah.
And for those in chat who aren't familiar with the lore, what can you tell us about Slaanesh and the various chaos? Are they deities? They are chaos forces?
They're powers. So there's four big ones: Khorne, Nurgle, Tzeentch, and Slaanesh, and they sort of represent rage and violence, disease, pestilence, and sort of a nihilism in the face of death. Slaanesh is the lord of excess and pleasure, and sort of seems to be the one that's maybe the least. I don't know what you'd call it. Least dangerous, but still dangerous. I also like the weird chitinous horse scorpion things that it has as demons. And then Tzeentch is, of course, the changer of ways and the plotter and the schemer and the master of all magic and the like. So those are the four big ones. There are, of course, numerous demons, chaos princes, demons, princes, lesser powers, and the like that inhabit the etheric realms of chaos. So yeah, there we go.
There we go, indeed. And we counted some agents of these forces in Beneath Dark Bowels. I don't think I will ever forget the orgy we stumbled in on, and promptly ended the fun of.
Promptly ended, yeah. There was some symbolism in Beneath Dark Boughs in that the three witches that the party faced represented sort of Nurgle, Tzeentch, and Slaanesh, with our witch hunters being Khorne. That was sort of the way that it developed in my mind as the campaign progressed. So tried to feature a little bit of everything in it, including a beast woman orgy.
Yeah, that happened. Okay, so the very first thing that we need to randomly roll up today is our species.
Yes,
now,
we do.
Now, in the base Warhammer world, the heroes side of things, I say heroes reluctantly.
Sure.
But we'll frame it that way. The hero side of things, you have humans, halflings, dwarves, and elves, and there are 2 different types of elves. The elves are fairly rare, and especially in Middenheim, where our current campaign is set. That's the word I was looking for.
Yes.
All right, so what did we roll?
All right, we're going to roll a D100 here.
D100.
And got to select the right window. And we're going to 68. That is 68. Comfortably,
That is very human.
Very human, and this random species table is like 1 through 90 is human, so
it's pretty biased.
More than likely gonna get one. Yeah, pretty biased. It sort of reinforces the setting, but I'll take it. I wanted human. I am a human centric player in Warhammer, at least, and you get that extra random XP, bonus XP for accepting the random roll.
Yes. So one thing that we should talk about is today we are literally using the random roll options that are built into Warhammer 4E. If you wanted to, you could completely roll an entire character randomly just using D10s or D100s, depending on what you have to hand. And that's super cool. And by doing that, you are rewarded with an amount of XP for every random thing you accept, encouraging you to risk it all and end up with an artist who is surprisingly strong but has other very questionable stats, as happened to me in a one-shot. But yes, so the let me pull up my cheat sheet here. For anyone interested, this is on page 24 of the PDF. If you do have the PDF and you're playing along at home. If not, go and check it out. It's a pretty good handbook, and it's a cool system if you're looking for something a tiny bit gritty and working with a D100 based roll. So the next thing we will figure out is, now that we've got our species, we'll come back to how this affects our character sheet in a moment. The next random thing to roll is the class and career.
Yes. All right. So let's see. I'm hoping for like an academic or something like that. Maybe there's some in the peasants class category that could be fun. Sort of like witch or something like that. But we'll just see what we get and roll with it. So we've got 88 as the first one.
88. All right. Let me hop to the second part. 88. That looks like a cavalryman.
I have 88 on mine. It says witch. It actually.
Oh yes, it is. I'm sorry. Yeah, I can read numbers. It is a witch.
Perfect. I will accept that. The Chaos Gods are clearly on my side as I seek to ascend to an exalted champion. I will take that, and that's perfect because that means we get the 50 bonus XP for accepting the first random roll. All right.
I'm sorry, the numbers on my screen are really tiny, but Herm in chat also got an 88, so Herm is also a witch. Everyone around here is
one
a witch.
more away from forming a coven. Just one more away. Yeah. I need one more.
Well, I mean, it's yours, right? So we'll just pull Panda.
Yes, yeah. We'll pull in Panda. There were other ways, right? Like we could have rolled. If I didn't like that, we could have rolled 2 more times and then selected from those 3, still getting some bonus XP, but not as much.
Why don't we do that? Why don't we see? We did get your number 1 choice straight away, but let's have a look at what may have come up.
Let's just see what else we would have gotten. So first one's a witch. The second one is 39.
39. Let me skip back on stream. 39. It looks like a hedge witch. Wait, what? Jim, what
yes, this is meant to. This is meant to be clearly yes, hedge witch. I don't know now that I might. This might be a moment when I'm making a character where I might go read through the careers, right? Which between these two, which one sort of makes the most sense? And then my
do you have your PDF there? We could read those out.
I do. Let's go check this out. My third one was 77, which I think is charlatan, which would have been acceptable as well.
See.
I consider this an auspicious start.
It is an auspicious start. Very interesting indeed.
So I've got my PDF open. Hedge Witch is going to be around here somewhere, and we will find it in just a second. Oh, there's a whole big list of them.
There are so many careers and paths in this game, but I really like how they've organized it compared to the second edition, where you've kind of got them grouped in families, and it adds like a really nice progression to it.
Yeah, I think like they started in first edition Warhammer, they broke it down into 4 separate class categories. Then there was the normal career progression, and towards the tail end of second edition, they introduced the career compendium, which was this giant, all of the careers that they'd released for the entire edition, that broke them down into classes as well. I think I'm going to stick with Witch. Hedge Witch seems like a more they're just someone who's picked up a little folk magic here and there, and herbalism, midwifery, healing arts, and while it might be fun for a more like generic sort of party, I think having the sort of the secret of being an actual witch is going to be fun.
And thank you to Cleric of Claude for her subscription. I'm really sorry I didn't shout that out earlier. I've only just spotted it in chat. Hashtag ProStrims. But thank you so much.
Excellent. And let's see here. Where is Witch's Way in the career? Oh, wait, past it. It's on page 108. If you have the PDF, Witch is on page 108.
There we go. So that's the latter half of the list for people asking on stream. I'm sorry the bottom's cut off. My sizing isn't perfect.
All right. Charlatan could have been fun, but here we go. So Witch says, willful and ambitious, you strive to master magic without an officially sanctioned license to operate. So there's a lot of fun stuff here early on. Channeling, cool, endurance, gossip, intimidate, magic language, sleight of hand, stealth, with talents of criminal, instinctive diction, menacing, petty magic, candles, chalk, dolls, pins. I think like there's a lot of fun things.
This is diving right into the heart of it. This is someone who is already willing to break the rules a little bit.
I mean, I was it can be fun sometimes to be like, well, I started out as a peasant and then I found a book that I shouldn't have or a shrine. But starting out as a witch, sort of like, you don't have to worry about your game master throwing in something like that. He's like, I'm already taking a couple of steps down this path.
Yeah, you're already
I'm already dodging witch. Yeah, I'm already dodging witch hunters. Yeah.
Let me see if I can answer Hasta's question by making this slightly smaller.
Gotcha.
Okay, so you see the bottom of the list now. There we go. So 98 on the dwarf table. It looks like you're a slayer, which is like the coolest thing you could be as a dwarf. It's like the coolest thing to be as a dwarf. I'm about that.
It really is. It really is. If you make it to your second career, I don't know how good of a slayer you are, but it is a cool concept.
Is there a career after that?
Well, there's sort of a progression of Slayer, Troll Slayer, Giant Slayer, Demon Slayer.
I mean, it's one of those things, I think, where you go into battle. For those who don't know, Slayers are dwarves who make an oath. They take what's called the Slayer's Pact or the Slayer's Oath, and they shave their heads into mohawks or various other kind of threatening designs, and they charge off into battle to find the biggest, most horriblest thing they can. And like the Klingons, they want to die with honor in these great battles with evil and enemies and stuff. Yeah,
and all that. The most unsuccessful of them live long lives.
Much to their shame.
Right. Oh yes, Dragon Slayer is in there as well. Never fought a dragon in Warhammer though, or really used one. Might have to change.
They were threatening us in the Warhammer chat on Discord with Chaos Dragons.
A two-headed Chaos Dragon.
Yeah, I don't know how I feel about it. To be honest, I could live without that.
Right.
I mean, I definitely couldn't live with it. Molly is very squishy. Okay. So the next step, let's move on before we get sidetracked and I find too much joy in everything we're discussing. We are going with Witch for our class, which is what type of what is the class? Because the class isn't Witch, the career is Witch.
Yes, the career is witch, and the class is a rogue. So the rogue class features charlatans and ruffians and sort of ne'er-do-wells, people that want to stay outside the law, and witch is certainly one of those.
Okay, so the next thing we have to do is roll for our characteristics, which brings us onto this table.
Here we go. So human is easy. Human's easy to do.
Very easy. It's basically 10 times 2d10 plus 20. It's very easy.
All right, let's start rolling.
It varies a lot more, and the same for halfling and elf. And in the book, they say that they balance this with skills and talents. So yeah, but
yes,
there's
a lot of different attributes that you have other than your 10 characteristics, right? Fate and
resilience. Extra plus 10.
So we'll see. I enjoy the sort of discovering who the character's going to be, and don't like to do a lot of shifting around of stats and things. But if I have a really bad willpower, I might change that around. So that's how many? 1, 2, 3, 4, 6, 7.
Much like in Call of Cthulhu, Warhammer willpower is very much related to resisting spells and kind of things of that nature, isn't it? How do you deal with magic and demons? And
it's that willpower. I think intelligence is probably also going to be useful just for the all of magic in 4th edition Warhammer revolves around the magical language skill. So it's different than prior editions of it. So I've got my 10, and I'm going to look here on my character sheet and see how they correspond. Let's see.
Would you be happy to post those numbers in chat?
Sure. So right now I've got my rolls were 10, 14, 13, 8, 15, 7, 10, 17, 12, 12. And then I'll add 20 to all of those to get the final totals. And I kind of like this. I'll start with a 37 in int and a 32 in willpower. Strength and toughness, I wish toughness I wish was a little better. But I can live without being super tough.
There are some improvements yet to come in this little process. Yeah, that's 2d10, right. Not d100 when you're rolling your...
Correct. Yeah, it's 2d10 plus whatever the number is after the thing there. Humans always plus 20. So I think I'm going to keep my initial rolls here and do that. And we'll just start. I'm going to start plugging them in to my character sheet. So I have a 30 for weapon skill, 34 for ballistic skill.
Now all of these numbers turn into a percentage. How much, pretty much out of 100, your skill is.
Yes.
And you aim to roll below this number in Warhammer. We aim for low numbers.
Always want to roll low, and doubles are crits, but you still need to roll below. If you roll above, they become a fail. So I have a 28 for toughness. Not happy about that, but it's only 2 advances away from a 30, which is really what I want, right? Some of these stats, the first number is more important than the total number.
Yes.
And then, so there we go. So initiative, 35. That's not bad. Agility, 27.
So for you in our game, if you were to roll initiative as the switch, you would take the first number of your initiative score, and we roll a 1d10, and we add those together, and that determines how we do initiative in our games on Wednesdays.
Right. Yeah, I think default in 4th edition is that initiative is a static score that you just use. So if my 35 would mean I always go at 35. If someone was 37, they'd always go in front of me. But in my experience, that's
not the most fun.
It's not the most. Yeah, it's not the most fun. It's not the most interesting way to do it. I like to have the random element. So I'm looking at the 3 final stats for me for this character are the most important: intelligence, willpower, and fellowship. And I've got a 37, 32, and 32. I'm pretty happy with those. Surprisingly decent at hitting things with ranged weapons. I'm not sure if I'll get a skill that lets me really utilize that, but maybe she has like a pocket pistol or something.
Who knows?
Who knows? All right.
I mean, witches are good people to make deals with.
Yes.
So,
yeah.
It's not impossible that someone's making deals.
I like
and
playing
trading.
liars and cheats and things, so that's good.
Everyone's
A
saying
good
no.
fellowship's good.
Everyone's playing liars and cheat.
Yep, I do.
Should you
I
ever
do.
play with him? Okay.
So if we'd wanted, we could have just like rolled these and then switched them around, and would have gotten less bonus XP than usual, or just taken 100 points and divided them up between.
Allocated.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and that's sort of point by, but you don't get any bonus XP for that. So at this point, I've got the full random bonus XP going on, and I'm filled with the blessing of the Chaos Gods. And yeah, I'm loving this character.
Yeah, the Chaos Gods seem to really like roll up. They come in here and they shake things up. I know when I made Molly, I just swapped 2 stats around. I swapped her fellowship score and I think her strength score, because when I went into making Molly, I already had a concept that we'd been discussing. For the most part, that was like mainly random rolled for her stats.
Yeah, for me, I so rarely think up a strong concept for a character that really what I like about the system in Warhammer is that you don't have to have a concept if either you're not that kind of person or you just can't think of one. You can sort of see what you roll up, and that can either give you you can either use that or that's a springboard to something else. As practice for this, I rolled up my first character last week, and I got like a cavalryman, which sort of just a Reiklander, presumably like a scout or an outrider or something. I was like, I'd play that character. That sounds fun. So that's my characteristics. We've got wounds now, right?
Yeah, and wounds in Warhammer they're basically your HP, your health point pool. Mm-hmm. And there's a thing called critical wounds. So once you have been struck down to the point where you're out of your normal wounds, you start taking critical wounds. And Jim revels and delights when this table comes up against us.
They're just fun, right? Like there's something about the abstraction of combat that's in RPGs that's needed, because otherwise you'll never,
it's very grim, horrible.
Yeah. But I like the sort of specificity of the wound system. So my strength bonus is 3, 2 times my toughness bonus is 4, and my willpower bonus is 3. So I've got 10 wounds.
10 wounds, which is pretty good.
Pretty good. I'd feel more comfortable with 12 or 13, and given that the character's probably not going to wear a lot of armor, I'm probably never ever going to want to engage in like a melee fight. Probably always.
You're never going to want to, but that doesn't mean your DM isn't going to invite you to.
Right. We'll do our best to stay out of combat. But that's just good advice.
Just to kind of explain a tiny bit more about wounds. When you're striking combat, generally you get given a number, for example 7. Someone stabs you with a dagger for 7. You would reduce that by your toughness bonus, which is the first number of your toughness score, which in Jim's case was 2. So that would go down to 5. So he would only take 5 wounds from that attack. If he's wearing armor, in addition to this, you would reduce the number again based on that armor score, unless the weapon is armor piercing. Sounds a tiny bit complicated, but once you get into the flow, it's a really kind of exciting. You're like, yes, I upgraded my armor. That doesn't do as much damage, and it really gives it a meaning that you've invested in your toughness, that you've bolstered your constitution as the knives come sliding into your ribs.
Yeah, there's in Warhammer there's a something called naked dwarf syndrome, which is that you can have a character who's so tough they don't need armor, and they literally can walk into battle naked and be just fine. I don't know if that persists in 4th edition though. So next we've got fate and resilience.
Yes.
Let's see. So I'm
these
thinking
are assigned based on your race, but you also get extra points based on your race, and these could be split between your fate and resilience to increase it. So if you want someone who's very lucky, that's where you would bolster your fate points. If you want someone who kind of bounces back more, I forget exactly what resilience does.
It lets
then
you.
would.
Sorry, go ahead, Charlie.
I was going to say, then you would increase your resilience score.
Yeah, I think, and this is a little fuzzy. Let me look at my own cheat sheet that I prepared. But resilience is there for like ignoring sort of the effects of insanity and things like that, resisting mutation. It's sort of your character's inner resolve, whereas fate is this something that's been imposed upon them, or what sets them apart from commoners. I'm going to go even here. That's the kind of player I am. I don't know yet, what exactly is going to be good. Here's the one thing I don't want, actually. I don't want my character to succumb to mutation before they are able to achieve their promise. So I might actually go 2 fate and then 4 in resilience, so that they have a
okay, so all of Jim's extra points he gets 3 as a human are going into resilience.
Yeah, and that means that then my sort of resolve is there. Now, motivation is sort of I'm still fuzzy on where it comes up sort of in the mechanics of it. I think it's sort of there to justify the nature of your resilience. I would say their motivation is ambition. I'm seeing a person who's dissatisfied with their lot in life and sees this pathway to magic, this chaos pathway, as a way of like bettering themselves and making themselves better. So yeah, hopefully I will not succumb to mutation and insanity before I achieve the power that I'm after.
So your fortune points are based on your fate points, and your motivation is related to your resilience.
Yes.
And for the people in chat asking, your bonus points are always the first number of whatever the statistic is. So if it's your toughness bonus, it'll be the first digit of that, and so on and so forth.
Yeah, it's always the tens digit.
Yes, the tens digit. Okay, I was going to call it the units digit. I'm like, that's definitely not what it is. And your movement will be, you're on a 4, correct, for human?
Correct, yes, 4.
So you get either 8 yards or 8 meters for walk, and 16 yards or 16 meters for run. Yards or meters is down to your DM's preference. It's probably just based on where you're playing and how their brains work.
Yeah, I always default to meters just because Warhammer was, I think, my first introduction to British spelling of the English language, right? And I was like, why are there all these extra U's in here? What's a helm? Why isn't it a helmet? And so it was my first sort of introduction that the language that I spoke was different depending on what part of the world I might find myself in. I credit it for making me a more worldly person.
That is very, very fair. Welcome to our side of the pond. We embrace you with loving arms.
Welcome back. That whole kerfuffle in the 18th century was a mistake.
We forgive you. It's okay.
Thank you, Charlie. I look forward to my national healthcare service. So where
are we? What's next?
I think,
so this moves us on to.
So
there's an advance in characteristics that you can do at this point, but I suggest, and so does Ex Libris suggests, Ex Libris being my personal expert on the Warhammer system, suggests that we come back to this later. So I think we will do that, which I think brings us on to racial skills and talents, which is on page 36 for anyone following along with the PDF.
Yep. There we go. 36. So as a human, a Reiklander, and presumably they'll release a book with other regions in it at some point. I get animal care, charm, cool, evaluate, gossip, haggle. I can speak Bretonnian, Wastelander. Ooh, there's a lot here to pick from. Yeah.
There is.
So,
And the way this works is you get to choose 3 of these to put 5 points in, and 3 of these to put 3 points in, and you'll also get random talents shortly. We'll just focus on the skills to start with. Now, one of the things that bugged me when I was rolling up a character for this is that humans get ranged bow as an advanced skill, but a bow in Warhammer is very expensive. So unless you end up in a career path that gives you a lot of money, you're not going to get a bow for a while unless you beg, borrow, or steal one.
Yeah, there's not going to be a lot of that. So as tempting as it would be to take advantage of that 34 ballistic skill and pick up ranged bow, the fact that I won't start with one kind of keeps me away from that. And I probably, though, there needs to be some kind of some sort of fighting. And I know that Witch has I'm still not sure on the symbols of the career page yet. I haven't assimilated all that, but I know that weapon skill is one of their potentials for advancement. So I think I might take, for my 3 that get 5 advances, I think I'm going to take Charm, Cool, and let's see.
Well, actually, I'll go and grab the Witch graphic so we can have that on.
Cool. Charm, Cool, and Gossip, Haggle, or Leadership is my question.
It's tough, isn't it? I know that for Molly, I took Gossip and Haggle. So I gave her, I think I gave her Cool, Gossip, Haggle, and I'm pretty sure I actually put points in Bow. Just on the pure, I really hope she gets one at some point.
Yeah, I think Haggle ultimately will win out here just because I can pose as a merchant or something like that. You know, someone who's their lack of fighting ability doesn't become like a, what's this person doing here? So those are the ones that I get 5 advances in, and then I can pick 3 to get 3 advances in. Let's see, which ones now? I think probably Lore Reichland, just to sort of have some, they know where they're from, right? They have to, because they've got to dodge witch hunters and zealots and all that sort of thing. Maybe here is where... I think maybe here is where I might take a weapon skill thing. So I think melee basic is going to be my other.
Yep, that's something I put points in. So just to reiterate for chat, you get to choose 3 of these to give 5 points, and 3 of these to give 3 points.
Yes.
And these will be added to the appropriate characteristic, statistic score, attribute score. That's what it's called in this system. Attribute score from your key stats. So for example, melee I believe is based on strength. So if you put 5 points into this, your melee basic will be 5 plus your strength score. So if your strength is, where's your strength, Jim?
Oh, well, I think it's going to be actually weapon skill there, right?
Oh, so sorry, weapon skill, right.
And that's sort of one of the differences between earlier editions and this one, is that they normally, like in, say, 2nd edition, you just had your weapon skill. There were no skills associated with it. And it could be confusing because it's called weapon skill, but then you have a separate thing called skills. So I kind of like that they went with the next step and just said, hey, melee and ranged weapons are skill.
Brain just going to D&D, and I was like, you would add strength to it, yeah. But no, it is your weapon skill, which is WS.
WS, yeah. So the 3 that I chose for 3 advances are Lore, Reichland, Melee Basic, and Evaluate to kind of round out the cover that they are preparing for themselves.
Makes perfect sense to me.
And then here we go with Doomed. I can take Doomed. I have to take Doomed.
You have to take Doomed. Now,
as a human.
Doomed is a really interesting talent as a human, in that it harks back to older editions whereby you talk to your DM and you come up with a prophecy. There is a table for it as well, by which your character will die. And if you manage to get your character to die in a way that matches your doom, you get extra XP towards your next character. Which I think is a nice way of rewarding you for when something really terrible happens to your character.
Yeah, I think there was a second edition book. I want to say it's not in the companion volume of second edition. It's not in the core book. The only place I haven't looked is Tome of Salvation. And I think the second edition Tome of Salvation has a table of dooms that are just sort of like cryptic prophecies. It's not like you're going to hang for stealing a horse. It's something like, on a bloody sunrise, your friend will betray you, or something like that. And in the setting, this is something that children undergo. The god Mor, who is the god of death, and sort of keeps the keeps the deceased from reanimating and coming back as ghosts and things like that. Their clerics are sort of good necromancers in that sense. So every human sort of gets this doom read to them by a Moorish priest who will, they sort of see it as their duty to pass this along. So that would be something I'd work with the DM with. And
right,
otherwise,
chat.
Choice between seven.
Put some suggestions in for what Jim's character's doom should be. Let's see some suggestions. I was so inspired by this that this kind of inspired the whole Yidris and Matthias relationship to some extent, where she had seen his doom as part of a prophecy she'd been given, and his was to do with a demon and a sword.
Yeah.
So yeah, that was kind of what inspired that. I've just seen the time. Oh, talking 4Es.
Oh my goodness.
Fun.
All right.
Okay, so there is a random talents table from which you can have 3 random talents.
All right,
as
let's roll on.
Human.
Let's roll on.
So this is 3 D100 rolls.
D100 rolls here real quick. And I went with Savvy, which increases my intelligence.
Okay, so if that comes up again, then we'll just re-roll because... Well, you could have Savvy twice.
81.
Did you? Yep.
I don't know that you gain a benefit from a...
Some talents you can have more than once. I know they stack, but we'd have to look up Savvy in particular. So 81, did you say?
81, 88, and 65.
So that is strong legs. 88 is supernumerate. Ooh, for a witch, that's really cool. And did you say 65?
Yes.
Read/write.
Excellent. That's perfect because...
Kind of makes sense. I'm not sure about strong legs. We'd have to look that one up.
Maybe, well, perhaps that... I wonder if that increases like the movement rate or something like that, but that's fine. I'll take strong legs. The better to run away with.
Legs. You have strong legs able to carry you great distances when you jump. Add your strong legs level to your SL success level in any athletics tests involving leaping. So that's kind of very situation specific, but I guess until she learns to fly on a broom, the girl can jump. I say girl, could be a guy. I shouldn't judge.
It could be. I think the more I think about it, I think like that she's a proper witch. Not a warlock, nothing like that. And the Empire's a very patriarchal place, so yeah. All right, those are my 3. I'll take it. Supernumerate. I forget exactly what it does or how it's changed between editions, but it could be very useful, particularly for posing as a merchant or something like that.
Supernumerate. You get. You have a gift for calculation and can work out the solution to most mathematical problems with ease. You may use a simple calculator to represent what your PC is capable of mentally computing. So this basically adds your intelligence bonus to tests involving evaluate and gamble. To answer Hasta King in Yellow, the reason there's Wood Elf at the top of this is it's cut off from the other table. Wood Elf is another race, and that just includes their skills and talents. I didn't separate them out. Just in case Jim rolled a Wood Elf, I couldn't crop it out. Could happen.
It could. It could have. I could have rolled a double.
The last one? I forget already. We said it was.
Read and write. Read and write is my last one.
Oh yeah, read and write. Which
is I probably get for my career, but actually I don't get in my career, so that's good.
That's good. I can't find it on this list. I just did a Control F to find read write, and it's just
It's not
so many
worth it.
references to read write because it is a skill within its own thing. But I think what it probably is like the language one where you can read and write languages fairly quickly and you get to add another bonus to tests. So very useful for a witch.
Very useful. And of course, the Sigmarites would argue that it's the fact that I can read to begin with, which set me down on my dark path. But screw them. We are aiming for exalted champion status here. At this point, I could allocate up to 40 points across my 8 career skills with no more than a max of 10 in one. Looking at my career skills, probably I might just like max out channeling and magic language. Again, just do 10 each, and then 20 points up to the regulars.
Explain this. The symbol next to the first level of your career path, those are the attributes that you can increase at this point in your career. So that little cross symbol. So at this point, you can increase your weapon skill and your toughness bonus. And you had those 5 earlier points that you could spend.
Correct. So in this case, I'm going to go 2 on toughness to up it to 30, and then the rest into willpower to get it to 35.
Oh yeah, and willpower. Sorry, I didn't go all the way across the line. And you are a brass level in your social. Now, social has a really interesting effect. If you are trying to haggle or beg from someone 1 social status above you, I think that gives you an advantage. If it's 2 social levels above you, so I think it's gold tier would be the top level, then they would probably be at a disadvantage, and it just affects social interactions, which is really interesting how they've incorporated a class system.
Yes, I really like it because this is still a medieval world, and it's one of those things where we're building in like there are social classes here, like brass people don't mess with gold people, right? Like they got a whole other set of laws for them, and they really do whatever they want to you. So let's see what I've got here. So those are the 5 that I would have gotten from from the attributes, and then I now have 40 to allocate across the career skills. If you're familiar with advances and other editions, they're different. An advance is just 1 point extra to a thing. So if my base is 30, adding 1 advance makes it 31. It's not like in increments of 5 like 2nd edition was. So yeah, I would
that was really interesting when I was building, because I was expecting the increments of 5, 10, 15. You can add like 1 or 2 points there, 3 or 4 points there, and that's
right.
A tiny bit crunchy feeling, but it also feels like you have more control.
Well, and sometimes you don't need a full 5, right? Like, so for toughness, I just need 2 more to get that 30. And while it would be nice to have another 10 to get it to 40, I don't need a 33 in toughness. I just need a 30. And so I like that it's a bit more granular, but it does make character creation a bit more involved.
That's 100%. I just replying to a few things in chat. Next week, while Jim is assigning his 40 points, next week we are going to be building an orc character. This is not a race that appears in the standard, but we're going to show you how to reskin so that you can play any game you want using the basic rule set that this game gives you and using the basic character options that there are. So it's not really homebrewing, it's just reskinning to be able to play the games you want to play. Because Jim had 2 dreams. He had dreams of chaos, he had dreams of monsters, and I'm here to fulfill both.
That's excellent. And then, so for my remaining 40, I put 10 in channeling, 10 in magic. That gives me 20 points left. I'm going to go 5 in cool, 5 in sleight of hand, 5 in gossip, and 5 in stealth.
Sounds good to me. Now, there are some rules on characteristic and skill improvement whereby it costs XP in different brandings. And this is where that random rolling kind of pays off, in that you get XP to spend to further increase your characteristics and skills. Again, this needs to be within the realm of your career. You can't just choose anything, unfortunately. With the exception of talents.
Yes, correct. And then
I get to pick.
Yes, they are. I pick 1 talent off of my career, and it's hard to pass up petty magic because that gets me some magic right off the bat. And so my one career pick that I get to start with will be petty magic.
Perfect.
Although I'm curious what instinctive diction is.
Let me go and have a look. I will see if I can find that for you. So it's kind of this point where you're down to very personal choice.
Yeah. I mean, eventually you'll get all of these talents, as you buy them, unless you choose to move out of the career before you acquire them all.
Oh, this is perfect. Okay. It uses your initiative bonus. The maximum number of times, you can take this is your initiative bonus. It affects language tests magic when casting. You instinctively understand the language of magic and are capable of articulating the most complex phrases rapidly without error. You do not suffer a miscast if you roll a double on a successful language test. Ooh, that's big
cool.
one.
That's really cool, yeah, because even if you roll a double on your casting roll, doesn't matter if it's a failure or not, you have to roll, you get a miscast, and then talents will take that away. So like, even if you successfully cast the spell, it represents just a surge of magic that courses through you. Miscasting isn't as dangerous as it has been in other editions. You can't like accidentally summon a demon horde or open a gate to hell, but it's not pleasant. About that. It's not pleasant.
We actually had a miscast in the first season, right at the end with Eamon. And I think his spell did go off successfully. I can't remember, but it was a fairly nasty one that caused multicolored fire and misery and chaos to happen in the middle of a fight. And that's not really what you want. It's kind of like the equivalent of a D&D wild magic sorcerer and then kicking onto that wild magic table and something. But it's usually bad, and it's usually painful.
It's almost always bad. Yeah,
you're not going to get turned into a pot plant. Sadly, no. This is kind of grim and dark.
Yeah. I think there were several in that one. There was one of the Beastmen shaman who had a miscast that just killed him. Just like that was it. Like, and then of course Eamon's arm was withered.
Yes, that's right. That's what happened. His arm withered, and he didn't fix it.
Yeah. At this point, my character's all but done. If I wanted to, there are a bunch of random tables for like adding detail of age and name and hair. If we've got time, I'd roll on them, but I don't know what our time's looking like.
It's 5-2. I think we can do another 5 minutes and then we'll wrap. Because I think chat will forgive us because we've done quite a lot and we've had a lot of fun talking. So if chat are happy to hang around for another 5 minutes while we do some more random stuff to finish off this character, then we will give away dice and we will wrap for the weekend.
Yes.
All right.
There you go.
So let's find out a little bit more. I don't actually have the random tables snippeted, unfortunately, so I can't show chat. But if you can talk us through them, Jim.
Sure. So names, I think a good strong name. I'm even thinking like a name that starts something that starts with a consonant. I don't know yet. We'll keep that in mind. Usually a name is like the last thing I come up with for a character.
Same. Unless like something like strikes me really early on, where it's like Mildred, that is my witch's name. Like I will be there for ages because I find naming things it's such a commitment.
It is. It really is. It really is. So my age is 16. As a human, I roll 15 plus D10, and I am a 16 as my age.
Okay, so that's 15 plus a D10 for the humans rolling in chat.
Correct.
And that will be your age.
Yep.
Family suggests Candy for names. Name suggestions for you. We've got Candy, Salandra. That's kind of a cool witch name.
Salandra's pretty cool. That might be like an alias, sort of like that's. Mm-hmm. Let's see here. What's next?
Salandra, we'll see you now.
2d10 for eye color. We'll see what that gets us. 16 on the table is brown eyes. So I kind of like having a non-remarkable features. Mm-hmm. I know a lot of it's like, the eyes represent their magic, but she wants to stay undercover, not draw attention to herself.
I mean, when you're a witch and you're kind of operating just within the law.
Yeah,
the less you look like a witch is probably in your interest, especially if Matthias walks into the town. You want to be the one that doesn't look anything like a witch.
Nothing like a witch. Another 2d10 gets us auburn hair color. for her hair. And
kind of looking like the picture, like Auburn, brown eyes.
I know.
Spooky.
And let's go here for height.
Guys, we're naming a witch, not a stripper. Come on now.
Crystal. Come on, guys.
Grand Duchess Anastasia Mikhailovna.
Anastasia's pretty
wrong. Anastasia's name.
So I add 10 inches to the base height of 4 foot 9 inches. So it's gonna be 5'9". No, I always forget about this because there's maths involved. All right, 10 inches.
What
so
is this,
this is her height. So I think
Okay.
she's like 5'6". Yeah.
So what did you roll for this one?
I rolled an extra 10 inches to her height. 5'7". Thank you, chat. Basic.
Because it's 12 inches of foot, and then yeah.
Yeah, anyways, it's the same with an hour.
To add the 10, and then I'm like, wait, that's not right.
Wait a second, that's not right. That's not right. I'm the same with an hour and 60 minutes. So that's just me. So that's kind of all her.
Is there a table of remarkable features in this one? I seem to remember there was, but there's like a weird features table.
Yes, I remember that one. I don't see one. That is in the. I mean, I've got the second edition rulebook handy if we want to roll for it.
I think we should, right. And then I will bestow upon you her prophecy, and you can tell us her name, and we will wrap today's episode.
Perfect. Let me get to this table real quick, and we will. Here we go. Remarkable features.
I feel like there was one in this.
Yeah, distinguishing marks is what it's called. So if you have the second edition rulebook, it's on page 24. And let's go ahead and roll, see what we get. 100, I got a 30. So 30 gets me from that table. She's got a nose ring.
Oh, there we go. Nose ring. Is it going to be like one of the septum piercings, or is it going to be one of the side piercings?
Ooh, I think like a septum one, sort of like a, not like a curved barbell. Yeah.
That'd be really cool. All
right.
Okay, a couple more name suggestions for chat. We have Yoma and Alpha.
Alpha. Let's see. Yoma. I like Yoma.
I like Yoma too.
Yeah. Yoma sounds like a good, like, just rustic peasant name. Bone piercing, definitely.
Bone piercing, yeah, 100%. I can see that. Drissa, so maybe that's a good name too.
Maybe Yoma is sort of her, her birth name, and Salandra is the name that that she goes by.
Okay, and I think her Doom prophecy, inspired by, I think it was Hasta King and Yellow's suggestion about the Corn group getting you. I think that you are doomed to die. Let me see. Doomed to die submerged in blood.
See, maybe that's like the doom that Yoma got as her parents brought her to the local priest, and that's just stuck with her all her life. And now she's just like, wait, these entities that exist in this world of magic can change that. Like if I'm strong-willed enough and clever enough, I could escape this doom of being drowned in blood.
Ooh, what about doomed to die in waters darkened by blood? That's even less. It's kind of less specific and gives more options. All right, there we go. So doomed to die in waters darkened by blood. And with that, we present to you Yoma/Salandra, the 4E Warhammer Witch. I will get her sheet uploaded onto the Encounter website at some point over this weekend, and I will post in the Discords in the roll-up channel when and where you can find that. Thank you so much to Jem. And thank you so much to chat for hanging out today. Jem, where can we find you? What do you get up to? I know you're looking forward to coming back next week.
Absolutely. You're looking forward to coming back next week. Going to do some reading in 4th edition and have some cool options for making an orc. And as I was talking with Pruitt about this, and my mind immediately was like, well, I got to come up with a custom spell list and custom careers. and no, we're going to keep it simple at the start.
We're just going to show like how it could be done.
And then
also you can extrapolate and add as much complication and homebrew as you like beyond that.
Absolutely. So I am one half of WebDM. We have a YouTube channel where videos are uploaded every Wednesday, sometimes Thursdays. We have Twitch channel where we play Dungeons and Dragons and Invisible Sun on Tuesday, Wednesday, and Thursday nights. And then we have a Patreon that you can come check us out with a podcast that Pruitt and I do, which is really just like our show, but an hour and a half and more cursing. And on Twitter, of course, at the Real Jim Davis, where I post about whatever is on my mind that day. And then, of course, the WebDM Twitter, if you want to just follow the WebDM show and don't care what's going on in my brain. And then I'm here on Encounter RP on Wednesdays at I always forget what time. 4 Eastern.
4 p.m. Eastern, 9 p.m. UK.
There you go. Where we are
right
actually
after
playing
the wonderful Call of Cthulhu.
Excellent. So you get a little Call of Cthulhu, a little Cosmic War, and then you come over and get some dark fantasy with Warhammer, and then I guess cleanse your palate with some Star Trek afterwards.
Some Star Trek chill afterwards. And Jim is the DM for our campaign, and we're just kind of getting started. The Grim Dark is coming for us. As opposed to being the normal adventurer group that goes out and finds the adventure has come to us through the Undercity and the sewers and the grossest ways that adventure can find you, and it has found us in our pub, the Wolf's Head. And Jim is one of the most incredible DMs. Please do go check out all of his content and support them. And yes, be here on Wednesdays, and then be here on Friday when we make his orc character.
Yes.
I'm just going to do the giveaway now. I'm not going to take us to the tunnel. I'm going to leave us right here.
Fine. That's fine.
And we are going to do another giveaway. Let's reset this. So that is ! loot in chat. I hope this is working. I think it is. ! loot in chat for your chance to win a set of tabletop dice. Tabletop loot dice, I should say. Perfect for rolling up characters for all of the systems we are covering here on Roll Up. You can go and see our past episodes over on YouTube. We did Call of Cthulhu with the wonderful Laugh Love Lindy. And last week we did a double episode. We had Jim talking about Warhammer, and then we had Will join me, and we looked at 2C Gaming's Dragonflight supplement for D&D, and we looked at how to build a dragon, which was the most fun thing ever. There is nothing cooler or more badass in the fantasy universe than a dragon. When it comes down to it, it's in the name of one of the biggest fantasy games there is, right?
Absolutely.
So yeah, ! loot for your chance to win some dice. So yeah, next week we have Jim for our final week looking at Warhammer 4E. So come in with your questions. We'll look a bit more at the mechanical crunch behind things next time as we make our orc. Oh, you also don't forget, Jim, to spend your XP that you got for your random rolling to improve things.
I will do that, as well as pick spells. So all of that will be on the character sheet that gets uploaded.
And if you are interested in this system, it is created by Cubicle 7 and available to order online right now. The physical copies are being shipped very soon, and the special editions and all of that. So jump in, but the PDF is available right now. It's a lot of fun, and as we've shown here, you can make a character in about 45-ish minutes, even with chatting. Yeah. And yeah, it's really good fun. We didn't discuss trappings, but we were able to do that next week.
Yeah, they've got some trappings. I'm already looking at the spells, and I see a lot that I like. We're gonna be putting people to sleep and draining them of their vitality.
Maybe if we're feeling extra energetic next time, we'll discuss your spell picks, like right at the start.
Yes, we can do that. We can start off with that.
Because that's a cool mechanical thing. I don't think we'll come up with the orc making, so we'll discuss spells then. Right, the timer is done. Let's pick a winner. Cleric of Cord. I can speak. Cleric of Cord. Congratulations, you are this week's tabletop loot dice winner. Make sure you speak in chat so that we can register you, and will drop you a message at some point soon. That is it here for us on Encounter Roleplay for this week. Don't forget to come back on Monday when we have, as I say, Waterdeep Dragon Heist. But that is correct. Waterdeep Dragon Heist with Grimjack as the DM, and after that there's Game of Thrones, and then on Tuesdays there's Vampire Masquerade and City of Mists. On Wednesdays it's Call of Cthulhu, Warhammer, 4E, and Star Trek, and then Thursdays there is the viewer game, or is it Thursdays that's City of Mists? The schedule will appear when we go offline, so double check it there if you're interested in any of these games. And then Fridays we have the wonderful Tabletop Voices with James, and then right after it's Roll Up. So that is it. Come and hang out, check out WebDM stuff, and have a wonderful weekend. Remember, don't roll too many nat ones, because we want to be there laughing. But when you do, she says, and laughs, and she rolls a nat 1, failing to push the button she needs to press. Goodbye, cruel world. Goodbye.